So here we are once again covering the Conservative Home Cabinet League table. And I want to stress why we cover these league tables, and especially when the Conservatives are in power, or especially if it's coming up to maybe potential leadership competition, because these league tables predicted the Rishi Sunak Liz Truss showdown, but also predicted that Liz Truss would win. And I remember using these as examples, telling people it's going to be between Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak, and Liz Truss is going to win. And before the competition had even started, people were like, no, Liz Truss is not going to win. These league tables proved it. And one reason why I always cover Conservative Home, first of all, because the articles come from Conservatives who are writing solely to a Conservative audience. So they say things in these articles they would never, ever say anywhere else. So that's one thing. But the other thing is that you have a website that periodically reaches out into the Conservative membership and says, what do you think about the Conservative members of cabinet? Are they doing a good job? If they are doing a good job, give them the plus. If they aren't, etc. And these have indicated in the past cabinet reshuffles, who goes in, who goes out, the Conservative leadership election between Liz Truss and Rishi Sunak. So these have in the past proved to be a very, very key indicator into what people think and who's popular and who's not in the Conservative Party. So that's why we cover it. That's why we cover Conservative Home. And one thing I really want to do and cover more are the comments in Conservative Home, because you'd think for a Conservative website, you would have a lot of very positive Conservative comments. But I have noticed really over the past 2 years, the negativity and the level of disagreement that these people have come from. Just remember, to comment on this website, you've got to go through the whole rigmarole and create an account and everything to sign up to this. So you are not going to be signing up to Conservative Home just to leave a troll comment. It's not the type of thing. And of course, they heavily moderate these to get rid of trolls. So again, interesting times indeed. But it is, of course, Cabinet League table time, where we find out who's popular, who's not, who the Conservatives consider doing a good job versus what I would perceive that they are, quote, really doing. So we're going to have, once again, a look at the end of September going into October Cabinet League table conference. And it will be interesting, especially to look at the end of October's, because remember, we are going into the conference season. We've just had Rishi Sunak's net zero speech going into the conference, of which there's a lot of trouble ahead. We've just had an announcement this morning. 30 MPs have said, we ain't voting for anything that might raise more tax. That's a big problem for Rishi Sunak when you've got 30 MPs in your party saying that. So definite trouble ahead for Sunak, especially when it is coming up to the budget. Because there's now, and I think we should really start to ask this question now, can Rishi Sunak pass his next budget? And I say that with all seriousness, because I think there could be maybe a big rebellion, or maybe a symbolic rebellion that they don't pass it the first time, but they allow it through the second time to show their displeasure at Sunak. Who knows? Needless to say, could be quite interesting. But let's go get a look into these Cabinet League tables. But before we do that, of course, please do remember to click on the like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a rotational link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, buy me coffee. And of course, as always, there are the YouTube thank you button and, of course, the Pony Club as well. So let's bob over onto Conservative Home to have a look at the Cabinet League table positions. So these are the Cabinet League table positions. As you can see, the leader of the pack, by a long shot, of 65 points is Kemi Badenoch. And we'll get back into probably discussing in a moment why Kemi Badenoch is at the top of the pile, why she is considered by members of the non-parliamentary Conservative Party to be good. Then you've got James Cleverly, understandable, Foreign Secretary, seems to be doing, a quote, and I say quote, relatively good job recently. Of course, he upset a lot of the anti-Chinese people in the Conservative Party recently, but again, we'll get back to that in a minute. Penny Mordaunt in third, and you have to ask why third when she is pretty much on a par with James Cleverly just by literally a couple of points. He's at 53.4, she's at 53.2. Last time Penny Mordaunt was in the leadership contest, there were a lot of stories coming out about her that she wasn't good, that she was incompetent, that when she was put in a position of power, she didn't perform. And once again, being leader of the House, she's not really having to do anything much other than say, right, guys, this is what we're doing today. So, but of course, she is leader of the One Nation Conservative Party group. That does give her a lot of influence within the party. We'll see what happens. And then, of course, Suella Braverman. I'm not too sure this polling will have taken into her recent UN speech, but Suella Braverman has really fluctuated around these polls. The fact she's in fourth is quite surprising. I wouldn't be surprised if we go into the next one that we are definitely going to cover, because it will be well worth to see where Rishi Sunak ends up in this after, of course, the big Conservative conference speech. And of course, how will of her UN speech gone down? I don't think it seems to have gone down at all. Next, you've got Johnny Mercer, Alistair Jack, Alex Chalk, and then Rishi Sunak. For the first time in a long time, not only in positive numbers on this scale, but actually somewhat high up. I mean, he's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th on this chart this time. It's risen a lot from where he was last time, but I think this is more down to the fact everyone else has been performing bad. So I think the only reason he has risen in these charts compared to last time we covered this, everyone else is doing bad compared to him, and it's not like he's had a good time either. So that speaks really volumes, I think, to the shall we say, to the talent going on in the Conservative Party. But let's have a look at who's at the bottom. So right at the bottom, you have Robert Jenrick with -23. Then you've got Theresa Coffey with -17, being consistently in the minuses. And this all goes back because of a bad environmental stance. The fact that she's been doing an absolutely awful, horrible job. She is normally at the bottom or second to last at these polls. Then you've got Jeremy Hunt, not too surprising, to be honest. He is getting a lot of the blame for the financial stuff of the situation, the economy. Lots of Conservatives want him to cut taxes, but he's saying, no, we really can't cut taxes at the moment. We can't afford to. So he's not very popular at all. And then, shockingly enough, Michael Gove, -0.4. So he's not popular, but he isn't exactly the most unpopular person in the cabinet, of course, as well. So back to the top. Why is Kemi Badenoch so popular? I think this is the question you'll probably all be asking. Well, part of the reason why she's probably occupying the top spot is she's pulling a Liz Truss. Kemi Badenoch, currently the International Trade Secretary and Business Secretary, didn't always used to be at that top spot. She actually took a massive hit a couple of months ago when she did the whole "I'm not going to be an arsonist" thing and burn up all these EU rules. She dropped like a stone after that comment. But of course, she's had wins, not of her own making. The CCP deal, the Pacific Partnership deal, brought her back up. And since then, she has been saying, I'm doing all this stuff. I'm trying to get all these trade deals. Look how good I am. And if the rumors about a soon to be impending trade deal with India are rumored to be true, ultimately she's going to reap the PR rewards of this, because ultimately she can say, well, look what I did. How good am I? So she's definitely pulling a Liz Truss. But by no means, of course, just as we saw with Liz Truss, does this mean that she's competent? I definitely think she's very, very much out of her depth. This is someone who went from a junior minister under Michael Gove in the Levelling Up department to becoming a Conservative darling during the the last Conservative Party conference, giving all the quote anti woke culture war stuff that she used to spin, and now she's in the Business and International Trade Secretary position. She hasn't exactly wowed people, to be honest. The feeling from like MPs, Conservative Party MPs in particular, is she isn't exactly wowing anyone. She's not exactly seen to be doing a good job either. But just as Liz Truss did, doesn't matter that that's the case of what MPs are saying. The fact that if you can put out a public perception to your party members that look what a good job I'm doing, look how amazing I am, that's why she's at the top. That's why she's there. So certainly for a future Conservative Party general election, or at least a Conservative Party leadership election, if Kemi Badenoch does manage to survive the impending defeat and doom of the Conservative Party, she will probably put her hat in the ring. If she survives, I would not be surprised to see her in the running. And if she can get through the rounds to the public vote, well, she may very well end up being the leader of the Conservative Party. But as a lot of people have pointed out, whenever she has been put under pressure in questioning or anything like that, she has looked really, really bad. We've seen her snap back at the speaker in Parliament, where he go, "Excuse me, you do not talk back to me." you know, what I say goes. So that made her not look very good. To be honest, from that point of view, there's been a number of interviews where she has not handled them or taken them very well, because she has been sort of really questioned hard on, well, why are you doing this? What's going on here? And it's been very evident she's been annoyed at that. And that has been a continuing pattern throughout all of this. That is she, and if she does end up, of course, in the PM spotlight, there's going to be a lot of pressure put on her. And there's a lot of Conservative MPs who have said if she gets that kind of pressure put on her, she's not going to do well. And that even includes being leader of the Conservative Party, being leader of the opposition. So she might not survive long, and she might not be, as we've seen with most Conservatives, when they get put into actual proper positions of power, not actually perform as many people had hoped they would do. So that's probably up until the point why she's there, why she's at the top. But anyway, I hope that's interesting, and of course, giving you a potential glimpse, of course, at the future of the running for the Conservative Party. Because, like I say, those top three, Kemi Badenoch, James Cleverly, Penny Mordaunt in particular, would not be surprised to see them, if they survive, particularly Penny Mordaunt. There's questions of, can she hold a seat down in Portsmouth? If they survive the upcoming general election, we're not surprised to see them in a Conservative leadership contest post that. So, as always, thank you very much for watching. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.